freight forwarding platform with the sole mandate of connecting Africa to global trade by simplifying the shipping process for SMEs and large enterprises across the African continent. He is a passionate leader and entrepreneur with over 10 years of experience in the supply chain, and he's responsible for translating the vision of 1.365 with direct oversight of company operations, professional services, research, development, and strategy. And also, I'm sure he's in very good moods today as his company has just raised $5 million. So congratulations, and please, Shola, if you can take the stage. Sorry, Shola, we can't hear you currently.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for that introduction. I can call you Folu. I think that works, right?
Yes, that works very well.
Awesome. And apologies for slight delay. I just had a couple of meetings overrunning time and all of that. So a bit introduction about myself. I'm a co-founder at 1.365. My name is Yoshola Ostame. What we do at 1.365 is we're streamlining cross-border trade for African traders, which means basically the freight forwarding process in Africa has been the same for the last 34 years. It's highly manual, highly fragmented, highly opaque. And thankfully, we're having sessions like this to address some of these issues. And what we're doing is we're moving away from that opaque and highly fragmented system into a more streamlined and digital system, which is the situation that has occurred across the world. You know, the question we need to be asking ourselves, especially for ourselves who are logistics and freight professionals, is why does it take so long, and why is the process so complex in terms of doing some of these things, cross-border trade, even inland logistics trade? Why does it take 5 to 10 days or more to actually just generate quotes for our clients to make bookings with us? Why does it take, why is it that 70–80% of trucks moving on the road in Africa, in Nigeria, most especially, have zero visibility on them? Those are the questions we need to be asking. And thankfully for sessions like this, which HBM has been able to put together, you know, we can talk together as entrepreneurs, as startup founders, as clients as well, which I want to believe that we have numerous end users on these conversations, and we can constantly engage ourselves in that conversation and ensure that we're collectively sharing ideas and we're making significant process and progress across our value chain, which I think is very important. The world, like I said, has moved on significantly. We're still 30 years behind. So a lot of progress needs to be made, and hopefully via conversations like this, we can make it happen. So a brief introduction about myself. I think that covers a lot of it. And yeah, I'll hand you back to you, Folu. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Shola. That was very, very nice. And the things you said are what we are here to talk about, honestly. So next, I'll be giving the microphone to Ayo Olunuga. He is the founder of Where Next and a supply chain expert with over 9 years experience, not only in Nigeria, but also in Europe. After working in the supply chain sector in England for Royal Mail and Aston Martin Lagonda, he relocated to Nigeria as the head of delivery for Jumia for over 3 years. And after leaving Jumia, he founded Where Next, a digital marketplace for warehousing, storage, and last mile delivery. Ayo, if you can please take the stage.
Sorry, I was on mute. Good afternoon, everyone. Shola, really good to see you again. I hope you're well. Yes, it's exciting to be on this program today, on this platform. I think it's, Shola said quite a lot of things that really resonate with me in terms of supply chain logistics and where we are in Nigeria as a country. We're many years behind. A lot of things that are done at the push of a button, still very manual. There's a lack of visibility amongst a lot of things that we do in Nigeria. And coming together with different aspects of the supply chain. So I can see a lot of the speakers, we do play in different aspects of the supply chain. Together, I think we can give a really good dissect and give a really good account of what supply chain challenges are in Nigeria. The things we can do. Nobody has got the perfect answer to the challenges, but I'm sure together we can chart a way forward that we think will resolve or relieve some of the problems that we currently have. And I think this is going to be a very good discussion to have. So yeah, thank you very much, Folu, for the platform, and I'm sure we'll all learn really great stuff today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm really grateful that everybody is here. Thank you, Ayo. So next up, I'll be handing the microphone over to Zanao. Zanao is the CEO and MD of Farmfield AgroAllied and is an expert on agricultural development in Africa. He specializes in helping smallholder farmers scale into commercial farming. He has been in the agricultural sector for over 10 years and is also a champion for gender equality in farming, as he empowers female farmers and ensures that they are well-trained and can also scale to commercial farming. So Zanao, please. Zanao, I don't know if, okay, I don't think we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. My name is Zanao Hassan Mikatwa. I am an agricultural consultant. I'm based in Abuja. I've worked with farmers across the states, most especially in northern Nigeria. I've also worked within the commodity space. I've also managed commodity transporting, which also has given me a bit of understanding of how the challenges within the sector and how it affects the economy at large. This platform gives us an opportunity to be able to discuss some of the challenges we've experienced from the sourcing side to the market side. And so I'll be bringing perspective along that angle to be able to highlight some of the problems that are being faced and some of the possible solutions also that we may be highlighting in order to find a way forward. And I want to seriously commend this forum. It's a very important one to be able to raise the bar and also bring to front burner the discussion around logistics, supply chain management, and the challenges in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zanao. It's a pleasure to have you here. And last but not the least, we'll be talking about Kamal Raji and his company, Afex. Mr. Kamal Din Raji is the managing director of Afex Commodities Exchange, where he has been working for 8 years. Afex Commodities Exchange, who, congratulations, by the way, just celebrated being the fastest growing commodity exchange in Africa and also the fastest growing company in Nigeria. Congratulations again. He has been in the supply chain space also for over 10 years, having previously worked with Jubali Agrotech as an agronomist and a territorial sales advisor for Notori Chemicals. He's an expert in agronomy, sales, distribution, and so much more. And today he will share his extensive knowledge about the supply chain with us today. Kamal Din, sorry, please take the stage. Kamal.
Thank you. Thank you, Folu, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of this great panel that will be cross-pollinating ideas on issues that affect us as a business and as a nation. Zanao, Ayo, Shola, everybody's welcome. And I'm sure that time will allow us to really dissect and be able to find to provide a lasting solution to whatever we see as problems of supply chains and logistics in Nigeria. I work for Afex. I'm a farmer, and I think I work with smallholder farmers to be able to move them above the bottom of the pyramid. That simply means that the farmers, smallholder farmers, getting access to finance, getting access to warehouse, getting access to input at the right time, getting the right knowledge and technology to be able to deliver on their preoccupations without flying from the rural area to the urban sectors. We are doing this as a company, and just like everybody will know that being business simply means to make one or two profits and be able to impact life. we can celebrate that we've impacted more lives than championing to claim that we have more profit. But at the same time, we know if this crusade and gospel is well circulated and move around, we will definitely get to the promised land, which will make everyone for us to be better for whatever we do. This platform should be able to help us to provide solution to a lot of things, especially across the value chain in the agri sector and some other things that we'll be discussing. And I'm very sure that I'll be here to learn. At the same time, I'll say out my mind on some issues that needed to be confronted both wholeheartedly and deliberately. And I'm sure that HBM will be glad for it and probably be one of the best freight solution providers in Nigeria with time. Thank you for this platform. I'm ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kamal. So with to begin the questions, I think I'll start with Zanal. So Zanal, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think the first question I would direct to should be for you. What supply chain issues do you face? Have you faced in your experience that reduces the efficiency of the production of the farmers that you've worked with?
Yeah, so basically, some of the supply chain issues have to do with logistics management. And as a farmer, there are two ways to this. First, you battle to get your commodity delivered to your location. I mean, your inputs delivered to your location. This input includes fertilizers, includes pesticides, and other forms of farm inputs that will require movement from here and there to get to the location where farmers are. That alone, it's a big challenge. At the moment, one of the biggest challenge farmers are facing, especially within the Northeast, is the fact that over the last 7 years, farmers have had to battle with high costs of transporting fertilizers to the Northeast. One of the challenges is as a result of the fact that it was said that fertilizers are being used for IEDs, explosive devices. So that limits the influx of fertilizer within the Northeast. So all the states within the Northeast that comprises of Taraba, Adamawa, Yobe, Borno, Bauchi, Gombe have had to battle high cost of transporting fertilizer. So you don't move fertilizers easily within that sector. For some of the fertilizer companies, the highest they can deliver to you is Bauchi. So you have to move from Bauchi, pay higher. And then while moving these fertilizers, you are faced with the issue, with soldiers, army along the way, asking you for permit. You need to get a permit from the National Security Advisor to be able to move fertilizers. And so there is a lot of bribery here and there in order to get this permit, and that increases the cost of fertilizers within the region. And so that is a very huge challenge. Another challenge being faced is in being able to take these commodities from the aggregation market down to the market where the demand is, whether in the south, be it in the southwest or in the southeast, has been a very huge challenge. So moving commodities down south from the northeast is a big issue. One of the biggest challenges is road infrastructure, and the road infrastructure, because these roads are bad, it increases the cost of movement. That's one. Secondly, because of the security challenges, most state governments have put in place security measures in way of putting roadblocks, military roadblocks, police checkpoints, army checkpoints here and there. And so you will, in some states, for example, in Taraba, you will have to cross our 20 if you are moving from one end before you get out of the state, and then enter into Benue. In Benue State, you have, apart from the military and police, you also have the revenue collectors within the states who are also mounting roadblocks here and there, charging truckers. And then you move into Cross River, for example, if you are heading to Calabar, you also have series of that. And in some other locations, it's even communities that are there. So this increases the cost of moving commodities from the northeast down south. And so you pay extra, apart from paying the cost of movement, you pay additional extra charges. Then these extra charges, they call it road charges. They are money they use to either bribe police or bribe soldiers along the way in order to gain access or passage. So this becomes so challenges, especially for commodity dealers, for commodity traders, and then increasing the cost of the goods to the end user, at the end. So these two are some of the most basic challenges that I have discovered and that we are battling with, especially coming out of the Northeast region of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zanal. And I think what I'm hearing, what a lot of the things I even took from you is are things that the government should do. So I wanted to ask through this question to everyone. What are the things that we can, if we had to list a set of processes, can the government do to relieve the pressures within the supply chains? And I think we should start with Shola on that. Sorry, Shola. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Can you repeat the question again, please?
So I was asking that given what he said, I think a lot of the responsibilities are also due to, we say, the things that government have not done enough. So what are the things that the government can actually do to relieve the pressures on the supply chain in Nigeria?
Okay, thanks for that. They're quite, I mean, I'm in total agreement with what Zanal said earlier. I tell people I really, really appreciate the work traders, farmers do, and a couple of people have asked me a couple of times, oh, why don't you guys trade? And I said, that's the last thing I want to do on my mind, because I can tell you it's a lot of work. In reality, these guys have to deal with insecurity, they have to deal with loss of cargo in transit, they have to deal with paying for a year's worth of warehouse and bits and pieces. And the most important thing we want to do as 3PLs, as vendors to these guys, is actually to enable them to provide a situation and environment whereby, alongside the government, whereby they can actually do their export or import or movement of their cargo easily. On the government side, I think a lot can be done. One of the most important things I would say is, first of all, providing more options in terms of port access, first of all. Especially, he made mention of fertilizer. A lot of this, especially in terms of the mixing materials, are actually imported, I think, from Morocco and Axis. Providing a lot of these infrastructures where there are other channels. Currently, the whole country just utilizes 2-3 main ports: Lagos, and this is for containerized cargo, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Onne. We have certain ports that are as good as almost zero utilization, less than 10%. We have Calabar, we have Port Harcourt. Can we open more channels so we're not spending ridiculous amounts to move cargo all the way from Lagos down to the far northern region? That's one thing that needs to be done. Also, I mean, this also still falls on infrastructure, ensuring and enabling, providing alternatives to road cargo in terms of haulage of road. 90% plus of cargo moves on road currently, right? And I'm sure this is something Ayo totally understands as well, because we ran something similar on this previously. 90+% of cargo moves on roads. And so you are having cargo moving from Lagos, the port city, and it's going to northern Nigeria, and it's taking 4 or 5 days. And I can tell you those rates are, maybe if you put them on global standards, they're like 3x the average rate you pay across the world. In reality, it's just ridiculous. So what can we do to actually ease that process in terms of, can we have more dry ports outside Lagos? There's a lot of access to the River Niger channels. Can we dredge those potentially so cargo can move not just on the roads, but also on barges? Rail infrastructure still needs to be significantly improved. That's the truth about it. You know, maybe if it's up to 5%, I'll be surprised. Maybe 5% of cargo moved in Nigeria moves on rail. You know, that's the reality, you know, about it, really. So there are numerous things. Digitization is a key thing as well. Digitization of the processes, you know, customs is still highly fragmented in terms of paperwork. But I'll just stick to those three for now. I'm sure a lot of the panelists also have a lot of things to contribute on that. So my own is, first of all, supporting more on the infrastructure side. You know, the guy in where would I think of now? The guy in Benue doesn't have to go all the way to Lagos to move cargo that is leaving the country. You know, Calabar is probably within proximity. You know, and then also providing alternatives to road transportation and digitizing a lot of those processes. Those are three key factors I want to stick to for now. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And I think with that, I think we can also move to Ayo. Ayo, what do you think about the question? Ayo, we can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. So absolutely, I 100% agree with what Shola said. We did have something where we worked with rail and road transport sometime back, and absolutely infrastructure is the very first thing here. The roads are in a terrible state. Power supply, so even moving away from road transport, right? Even power supply. We've got, aside from imports into the country, what about what we actually produce locally, right? You go around, especially during harvest season, I think Amaldin and Zana will be able to speak more on this as well. And you see a lot of waste that comes around post-harvest waste. So it's all about infrastructure. There's power. We need to diversify from those 2-3 ports that we use all across the country. There's the rail, there are waterways. There's a lot. But more importantly, I think we need, as a government, need to put in place really strong institutions and policies to help out with the pressures of the supply chain. Strong institutions, I would say, like customs, like the businesses like NITEL, Bank of Industry, the Bank for Agric, even commercial banks. What are the policies towards supporting the small businesses, right? So we import all these bits. We really complain that, oh, the supply chain challenges based on the import. Yes, fine, but we can produce some of these things locally as well. But then, even if we produce them, what happens to those products that we actually make in the country, right? They're still susceptible to those supply chain pressures as well. We mentioned about paying for a year worth of warehouses. Some businesses will say you have to pay 3 years, 4 years. What are the policies towards that? A lot of small businesses can do that. And if you look at the agricultural sector where it's seasonal, right? Why is a business paying for 1 year worth of warehousing when his harvest is only going to be in there for 3 months or 4 months, 5 months at best, right? So what's the government doing with respect to policies that affect local production? How are we stimulating that? What are we doing in terms of infrastructure? What's customs doing? Why is it not being digitized? Why is it still so manual? What's NICE doing? What's Bank of Industry doing? What are all these businesses doing? We're in Nigeria, right? We all hear about stories of policy where you want to access funds to even grow your own goods, or even trade, or a small farmer needing access to fertilizers. And the policies aren't there to really support these businesses. The big guns corner it all the funds. And what's the repayment like? What are the policies that will support the growth of the local industry? I think it's very important that the government looks into that as well. So I'll let someone else speak to this.
Thank you very much. I think we can now let Kamal speak on this issue as well. Kamal, if you Kamal, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Yeah. So just like every other one I've spoken about this, we know we have issues as far as the country is concerned, ranging from poor transportation infrastructure to bad or zero network road network. Congestion in ports is another big issues that we need to look at. And just like Shola said earlier, that we need to be able to facilitate and ensure that there's workability around creating new dry ports across major states in Nigeria. Because with that, we should be able to at least reduce the traffic that is moving towards what's it called? Towards the port in Lagos. One is a bit decongested, but people still have that mindset that if they don't get to Lagos, they will not be able to send their trucks. So another thing is that we all need to look at is the technology side of everything. Technology has been able to ease a lot of things across any value chain you are looking at, ranging from supply chain to whatever value chain you are looking at. Technologies contribute to an economically efficient supply chain. And if we take this one, very, very important, we should be able to at least render solutions to nothing less than 45% of what we call problems in Nigeria, as far as our supply chain is concerned. You've been able look at the days of using just the yellow and black taxi to move around. That if you are not getting that taxi, you need to look for a Molo in Lagos, or you probably need to look for a yellow bus in Lagos. So you being able to stay at the front of your doorstep and get a ride, a Bolt or an Uber ride from your location to wherever you are planning to go at your convenience. But at the same time, the infrastructure is still affecting the rate at which those things should be growing. By now, we should have more than 2 service providers as far as that service is concerned. But now we are still limited to 2. Those that are coming in between these 2 have always been having 1 or 2 challenges. And that is one of the issues that we need to provide and ensure there's a convenience, serene, sane environment for investors to come in. The implementation of ICT solutions to support supply chain management can be cost-saving for an organization. I think today HBM has been able to provide 1 or 2 solutions. Instead of you calling Toby or Folu to say, where is my truck? You get a mail that says, as of today, your truck location is this place and the ETA is this. Doing those and being able to assess all these things will definitely provide 1 or 2 solutions to what we call problems in the supply chain sector. Access to finance. Access to finance, you know, supply chain is CapEx driven because I don't envy Shola, probably, but he's a big man. You know, getting trucks now in Nigeria is like you are building the world, because a truck, the cost of the head of a truck alone, I don't know how much it will take. Shola, I don't know, maybe in dollars, millions in dollars. And if you have to do that to provide a solution to a problem that we've been seeing from generation to generation, it means you need big, deep pockets. And doing that simply means that you need to look for money somewhere. Is the financial sector ready to assist in this regard? And if they are ready, what are just like they know this is related to agri. I'm very sure we all know what the financial sectors are saying about agri and other things. High cost of operations. You give a driver a truck to go from this location to another location, and the driver will be telling you there is an issue on the road, not knowing that the driver has dropped whatever you are talking about and he has picked another thing to another area. You know all those things. There are things that we all need. Insufficient experienced personnel to carry out these operations and other things. are part of what we should be looking. Policy, there should be a target deliberate policy that should be favorable to the supply chain and sector as far as we are concerned. If there's no policy that is driving this, then we will continue to be in this ABC of perfidy. We will continue to be here and nothing will happen. Those people, those active partakers or stakeholders in this sector will continue to lament, to say, oh, this is not happening, this is that. But if government is deliberate about it, I think there will be a solution in this regard.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So I think the next general question, but it's also pertaining to Shola, because he's also, very persistent, not just persistent, I don't even think that's the word. He's very passionate about digitizing, freight in Africa. I wanted to ask, what emerging technologies do you see that in the near future, or at least in the future, can really, really help the supply chain inefficiencies?
Okay, I'll stick particularly to in regards to supply chain. And I think the biggest one that comes to my mind is actually blockchain. That's a key one. That's a main one. Where we're not even doing chain yet. Talk less of block in Nigeria. In reality, that's the fact of it. It's still miles and miles and miles and miles and miles behind. A lot can be done on that. The system is so fragmented. I mean, you take, for example, freight forwarders like ourselves, basically, as a digital freight forwarder, a typical transaction, you're dealing with 5-6 different players on a typical transaction, right? So you're dealing with an ocean liner, you're dealing with trucking partners, inland logistics, you're dealing with insurance companies in terms of marine insurance, you're dealing with terminals, you're dealing with customs brokerage and all of that. And I can tell you in those 6 different products, maybe 60-70% of them are digitized. And even that digitization, it's just about starting off. So you can't do blockchain, for example. I mean, you can't even start saying, let's start going big time into things like blockchain. For example, 80% of trucking transactions being done in Nigeria is still calling one Alaji on phone and saying, Alaji, position a truck for me in front of my warehouse. We're not at that stage whereby we can say, yeah, you can do like an Uber freight. Yeah, there are a couple of guys who started it off, but let's dig a bit deeper into how that technology flies. And then, okay, we can now start identifying, okay, where are we with the current situation? So blockchain is a big one in reality. Another one, well, which is, I think everything is still associated to a large extent with blockchain, but for us who are mostly dealing with like exporters and importers, is the situation of what we call paperless BLs, paperless bill of ladings, especially supporting exporters, is still very much a paper and pen system, and which is unfortunate. I think we're getting there. We currently have one of 4 shipping line partners we deal with who are currently, we're offering, we do paperless bill with. But in the midst of COVID last year, 2 years ago, you had exporters who are basically going to shipping line offices and queuing up to obtain bill of lading documents for their shipment that have gone. And, you just noticed today, this chairman was here today, Alpha, I've not seen him in 3 days time. Well, he's caught COVID. Everybody was catching COVID like it was played, because these guys were queuing up to obtain bill of lading documents. And if for anybody who's an exporter on this conversation, you need to understand the importance of bill of lading. For many of the transactions in Africa, out of Nigeria, for example, I'll probably say 60% of them are these guys get paid when the cargo arrives at destination, because most cases the buyer has to verify the quality and the quantity and bits and pieces. There's a trust issue. So now imagine yourself, basically it's taking you 10+ days to get a bill of lading on paper. Where you now get that 10+ days to get a bill of lading on paper, you now put it on a DHL to courier it to Rotterdam, to courier it to wherever it is across the world, right? And then the whole turnaround for payment process is taking you 21+ days, right? So if you're an exporter of, let's say, cocoa, And I'll think off the top of my head right now, a container of cocoa is probably what, let's say $70,000. That's the rough estimate I'm using. I might be wrong, I might be right. So don't quote me on that. I think it's something around that. So let's say you've done 3 containers, that's $210,000, and that's the only capital you have. You have to wait for, first of all, the cargo to get to the port. When it now gets to the port, you now have to hassle around the whole issue about getting a bill of lading. So on a transaction where you've invested all your money, you're doing a 45, 60 days turnaround process. And then the bill of lading is taking, let's say, 20 days in that whole process. That's simply not good enough. In Kenya, right? In Kenya, the port of Mombasa, 24 hours after cargo sales, you can print your bill of lading from your office. 24 hours after. Right? So now you can print that. Now, yes, there are telexes and all that, you're aware, but still a lot of guys still say, I want my bill of lading. So we need to look at, first of all, digitizing so many of those processes. First of all, the big one is blockchain. It's the first major one I'll mention. And then the second one I'll say revolves around paperless bill. The third one, which is still a key issue, but I mean, we had a survey on this last year, is the fact that visibility and tracking of cargo in Nigeria is still very limited. Only about 20-30% of cargo have visibility in Nigeria. What does that mean? There's a lot of theft going on. A lot of theft in terms of cargo going missing in transit, right? So in every 10 trucks on the road in Nigeria, 7 of them, there's no visibility. So what you're having is a situation whereby how much is a truck driver averagely being paid? Let's say 250,000 naira, 300,000. I don't know. You know, let me just give a rough number. That's like what, $500 plus. A container of cocoa, like I said, let's say $70,000. $70,000 is equivalent of, let's say, give or take, almost 40 million naira. So you're having cargo worth 40 million naira. Yes, about 40 million. You're having cargo worth 40 million naira being driven by a truck driver who is earning 300,000 naira, and there's no visibility on that cargo. So you're having to rely, I mean, Kamal mentioned it earlier, there's no visibility, you know, you're having to rely on this guy to tell you the position of this cargo, and the process is significantly broken because it's a case of, where are you, where are you, where are you, where are you, then the phone goes off. You understand what I mean? Basically, I mean, you guys are field guys, so you understand what those processes, right? So visibility is one that basically is significantly lacking, that we can actually do a lot in terms of digitization. And then the blockchain is one that also we're looking to introduce, and then the paperless bill. Those are some. There are numerous things I can go into, but I'll let other panelists start to speak about them.
Okay, thank you very much, Shola. That was a lot, and we can tell that you're so passionate about this thing. So we'll move on to Ayo. Ayo, what do you have to say about the question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the technology can really do a lot to release the stress. So one thing Shola did mention, and I think is really important as well, but maybe I left that alone, is the use of artificial intelligence and, I would say, machine learning to help with supply chain in Nigeria, because visibility in Nigeria is a very, very big problem of anything we're doing. I used to run trucks, so I kind of understand, and I felt those pain points. And no, truck drivers don't earn 300K, they earn like 50K, 70K. So imagine where you've got someone with 40, 50 million naira worth of goods, and you're paying him 50,000, 70,000 naira a month. It's a no-no. But coming back to AI and machine learning, I would say it definitely will help with supply chain optimization, big time. So, and I'll come from, say, like a warehousing kind of perspective, because with machine learning and artificial intelligence, you can help optimize your forecasting, the planning of your, say, warehousing or your inventory, or even your maintenance of your trucks, and prediction of when your truck will get there. We've said there's no visibility, but supply chain is all about gathering data. Every time you're refining the data, your AI tools or learning. They're able to predict more when inventory is going to come in, how you should optimize your warehouse to receive your goods. Oh, there's a challenge on the way. So this warehouse is not going to receive these goods in time, or your factory is not going to receive the goods in time. So what are the alternatives? So all these bits, with the use of machine learning and artificial intelligence, can help level out the challenges of supply chain. Your data security as well, because there's data gathering and data security in Nigeria, I would say, is very much lacking. You go around and you see data being banded around in a lot of businesses. We don't take data very serious, right? But with the use of technology, even that data can be transferred remotely. So we're sending text messages, we're sending WhatsApp messages. Why would we send information about really sensitive material via text messages, phone calls? We need to understand how this can be done properly. I've mentioned a bit about applying the predictive tools of machine learning and AI into third-party logistics, right? You can understand when your ship will arrive. With AI, Shola will understand when his container is going to land in Lagos. That way he can forecast when the bill of lading will be ready. He can work with customs to get his containers out. He can forecast when he needs to place a truck in the port to get his goods out. That way, the warehouse is aware that, oh, that truck is coming out of the port now. It's going to be with us in 6 hours. We need 200 square meters of available space to receive those goods. So all these bits can really be done. And I think I'll leave it here and I'll let somebody else take some other bits that technology can do to help supply chain within Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Ayo. I think we'll move on to Zanal now.
Yeah,
Zanal,
thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
So one way I think technology can help from the, let me talk from the farmer side, from the aggregation side. Now, over the years, I've come across companies that have tried in one way or the other in order to digitize how we source trucks. They try to create what they call truck Uber kind of businesses. And that has been a bit challenging because when you look at the space within which this logistics business work in country, there's a high level of meaning those owners of most of these trucks are either illiterate or not too well-schooled kind of people. And so it has been very challenging to onboard them, to be able to recruit them, to make them to sort of adopt technology, not even using how to use Android phone to be able to register their trucks and all that. Another big challenge is the fact that, just like Shola mentioned, we don't have a proper tracking system for most of our trucks in the country. And so you are left in the hands of the driver. When the driver decides to pick your call, he picks. If he feels that you'll be disturbing him, he offs his phone until he calls you later to tell you where he is. And so this has been a big challenge in tracking. So most of those companies that startups that wanted to be able to create a business out of that find a very big challenge, because one, you find it very difficult to be able to go to the allergy somewhere in Portiscone to convince him, to tell him that, oh, he has 50 trucks, you want to put trackers on his trucks, you want to enable him create business, get people who are looking for trucks to be able to locate any of his truck at any location. They find it difficult to be able to cope with this, because why? They feel that there is an existing system where they use agents who are based in different localities. These agents are the ones who get business for these trucks. They get their 10%, and then, and then the truck moves. Now, they are mostly used to those, and I feel that this has a lot to do with our level of education. And then also the drivers who drive these trucks, also their level of exposure to technology is low, their literacy level is low, and so it's a very big challenge to also onboard them into this system, Another area that I also feel that technology can help is in working with insurance companies, for example. Even though insurance companies have not also been very upcoming in providing insurance for goods in transit, the challenge with the insurance companies is the fact that the rates they charge for some of these commodities are very high, and so most traders don't want to use insurance, and they feel that it will just unnecessarily add to the cost. And I feel that insurance companies need to come up and just try to understand somebody who is moving maize, for example, from Kaduna to Ibadan, and try to understand his challenge. He is faced with different challenges, risk factors on the way. One has to do with theft. We've seen a situation where the truck disappeared and nobody knew where the truck is. We've seen a situation where the truck had accident on the way, and people from within around surrounding communities, came, packed the grains, and left. And then you, the owner of the grain, is left, just to continue to cry, unto God. I feel that insurance needs to come up, trying to understand the challenges along the way, and also discuss with players within this sector, try to understand them and why will they not be able to pay for insurance, for example. And I think that it's one way that it will help in enhancing the business and also move it much more faster, and then to also create some sense of comfort for everybody within the logistics space to be able to do it. So, in conclusion, as I said earlier, aggregating trucks is a big challenge. You need to know how to aggregate trucks beyond just using agents. I should be able to sit in my office and want to move goods in Mutumbu. I should be able to see trucks within Mutumbu and call somebody and say, okay, I need to move this particular commodity from this location. That is an area that had a lot of challenges, and I don't know how we can come up with technology solutions to be able to address that moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zana. And lastly, for this question, I'd like to ask Kamal.
Yeah, thank you, Folu. Just like Zanao rightly said earlier, I think there should be a better collaboration between everyone that plays this role, and that simply means that if you're an ICT provider, how do you work out a solution for maybe a logistic solution company? And how does that affect you having a relationship with Aladi or with a company that has many trucks? Probably the company is based in Lagos or in Ogun, and their own is just to move cement from Ogun to the north. You know all these trucks are on GIT. All you needed to do is, do you speak with them to say, okay, don't let any of your truck come back to Lagos free without taking anything. I have this, and this is the technology I'm placing on it, so that you have feasibility, I have feasibility, and both of us can be fine. If all of us have a solution like that, I think there will be more collaboration within the sector. But for the fact that even the logistics service users, they want the service delivered at a reduced cost. So the logistics service provider too are looking at every means to cut costs by saying, instead of going through You have 10 allergies that usually give you 10 trucks in 10 days, but you know one of them, its price is always above the others. How do you mitigate? What do you do? Can you create a win-win solution situation that everybody will play fast and everybody will play to win? And nobody's claiming to be champion of everything. And with that, I think there's going to be a way out. Another thing is us all looking at, when do we need this thing most? Who are those active players in that sector? Can we have like a pre-arrangement with them to say, what are you looking at? What's your outlook like for this season? And how soon do you want trucks to be available? So if we have all this, you know, the agri value chain is seasonal. And the seasonality about these things simply means that whatever solution you are providing, you should consider those seasons too. If the core of the season for movement from the north to the south is this, what can you do off season to make sure that you are still providing a solution to your customer? So ICT plays a very sound role. You have the same thing role to play with what's it called, the NIMET, the Meteorological Center, for you to know the type of trucks to be used. Not that because this is the only one available for now, this is the one I have to use. If you are sure that the rain is going to fall on the way, on your way to any location, is there any provision for you to look out for a containerized truck, or do you have at least trucks with bigger bodies with a tarpaulin that can cover everything? What solution are you looking at? Simple solutions that if you have to merge all this with ICT, it will be as if you are in the developed world. So we need to play many roles. We need to do many things. And I think all of us can provide that solution to this sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kamal. So I think Shola has another engagement. I don't know if he's here and he can speak quite very briefly. Shola, are you still here? I think he is, but
yeah, I think Shola is still on, probably.
Yes, I think he's having some challenges with unmuting his microphone. Yes, I think I can see your issue, Shola. Sorry, I'm currently working to make sure that is not an issue anymore. But either way, we are really grateful for you being here. We really enjoyed your speech and what you said. We understand your passion about digitizing. I understand. I'm starting to be as passionate as you are just from listening to you. Honestly, it's very inspiring, and there's a lot to be said about the digital sector in Nigeria. Thank you so much. Okay, so I think I might be able to fix the issue in a second. If you just give me 1 second. Apologies to the audience. Okay. Okay. Right now, for some odd reason, it's not allowing me unmute you, Shola. So thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate your expertise. So actually, Kamal, I would like to even ask you a question still on that. You know, as we know, you are one of the biggest aggregators in Nigeria. And I wanted to ask, what supply chain issues do you go through on a daily basis? I think you've mentioned visibility issues. You've mentioned having to call, 10 allergies or 10 trucks. Meanwhile, you need to move the 10 trucks just today. I think those are some of them. But are there any other pertinent issues that you face? Kamal, sorry, I don't know if we can hear you as well. It's a big issue on the technical end. I don't know where it's coming from. If you just give me a minute. Okay, so we should be up and running in about a minute or two, if I'm correct. Sorry, just please bear with me. Okay, I think we're back. Yes, I would like to believe that we're back. Kamal, thank you so much for the patience. I believe now you should be able to unmute yourself, if I'm correct.
Thank you, Folu. Technology is a solution to many things, and I think what technology is causing as the aftermath of using technology to resolve a lot of things is more than what technology could solve. Other things that we have been facing in the sector is getting the right information about trucks. Do you get? Let me give you an example of the northeastern state, just like Senao said earlier. A truck will come into the northeast, and people from Gombe, Taraba, Adamawa are looking at the same truck. And when you are talking to like 3-4 people to get you trucks, the 4 of them are speaking to you about only one truck. And with that, but in your head, when you spoke to 4 people, you think you have 4 trucks. But when that truck later on gets in, you'll be surprised that it's the same truck that A, B, C, and D was talking about. And at that point, you still need to go back and check. So I think there should be like a concerted effort across the active players, stakeholders of this value chain to come together to say, okay, what's time? Timing is very important. Timing is very important. To say, what time do you see normally that people move stock or move commodity from this location out of this region? So that by that time, even if you have to pay more, you probably might be rendering an help to make sure that that problem is fixed. So getting that done, today I can tell you that you pay like times 5 of whatever you are paying in the Northwest from Kaduna, Kano to Ibadan to move a truck from Taraba, Gombe to Ibadan. The government needs to be more deliberate and tilt towards the stakeholders in this sector too. One, on the issue of what's it called, the diesel that truckers are using. If you check the whole of Northeast, you probably see five filling stations that will sell for you at the regulated price. Start from Bauchi to Gombe, to Adamawa, to Yobe, to Borno, to Taraba. You probably will see 5 that will sell to you at the regulated price, recommended retail price. So those things will always make, because as soon as you are talking to a driver, he's agreeing on the price, he's looking at how much he's going to spend on fueling. And at the same time, he's looking at how much he's going to retire to the truck owner and how much will get to him. And if you are a solution provider in that value chain, you are looking at how much, what percentage of all this cost should come back to you as a service provider. So all those things are things that we all need to look at. Let us reach out to the active players within the other sectors that have been doing the same thing. Let us learn from them to see what could be done rightly. If we have all those, today, FS could say, as part of solutions because of the problem within the hinterland of the agrarian communities, at least we've invested a lot of money in buying like 40 trucks today. But those 40 trucks are not meant to do interstates. They are meant to do intrastate. If you go to any corner where we have farmers, where we have cooperative, where we have smallholder farmers existing, there must be a mobile warehouse solution to move whatever they're aggregating from their location to a central warehouse or to a collection center that will serve as a transitory point to a central warehouse. But with that, it's just like scratching the body of a mountain. It's still not pulling anything out of it. We might be finding solutions to what we do, but how do we all come together to play a fatherly role or a big brother role in the whole of this value chain so that it will be simpler and easier for everyone?
Thank you very much, Kamal. And I think similarly to what you mentioned about mobile warehousing solutions, I think we can also ask Ayo to speak, because it's similar to the question I asked for Ayo about the how the problems he's having with warehousing solutions in Nigeria, like how are the supply chain shortcomings affecting warehousing in Nigeria. So I think Ayo can help us similar to what you just said. Ayo, can you hear us?
Sorry, I missed a part of that, and I wanted to answer the question in full. Can you repeat the question?
So the question is how are the supply chain shortcomings affecting warehousing in Nigeria? And I was using it to piggyback off what Kamal just said about mobile warehousing solutions to help increase the efficiency of the movement in intrastates, not just interstates.
So yes, okay. So with the shortcomings of supply chain affecting warehousing, there really is a direct impact on that in terms of a mismatch of capacity. If you look at the warehousing industry in Nigeria right now, most businesses, and I'll say, I think some of the early adopters of the new way of working was Apex, is that a lot of warehouse owners or manufacturers or traders own a warehouse or rent a warehouse. They rent it for a whole year, right? There was no sharing culture, right? And for harvest or post-harvest season, which is usually 3, 4, 5 months in the year, right? That is when the warehouse is really, really busy, right? And after that, the warehouse is usually very line fallow until there is an opportunity to bring in perhaps inputs for the next farming season. However, those warehouses, and this is agric, but those warehouses could be put to other uses as well, right? When we started WareNext, it was to tackle this very issue of low inventory, low utilization of warehousing. In that, in one season, you could have your agricultural products in there. The next one, it could be FMCG products. So that utilization of your warehouse is at a level that makes sense and is also cost effective. With warehousing and the supply chain issues as well, you find out, okay, when we started, we went out to probably about 80, 90 warehouses in Lagos. Some of them had been empty for years, months. And when we started WareNext, we won warehouse in Ikeja. We're telling I remember the story. We told the warehouse owner that, look, the warehouse has been vacant for over a year, and you're waiting on someone who's going to come and pay for 3 years at a go before you get any form of income, but you've lost a year's worth of revenue, right? So what we did was we we're able to demonstrate that with the new model that we were bringing in, one, there's going to be top utilization of the warehouse, and his revenue could actually be higher than what he would have gotten by paying off, by getting one whole sum over the next 3 years. Because we're breaking it into chunks, we're able to actually attract a slightly higher market rate than what he would have got. So the supply chain issues are always affecting him. More importantly, as well, I would say our policies towards supply chain within the country. I'm a very big and firm believer in building strong institutions and having the right policies to be able to assist or ameliorate the issues surrounding supply chain. Earlier, I can't remember exactly who mentioned it, was Kamal or Zana, or both of them, saying something about in the Northeast, you're talking to 4 different people, they're telling you they have a truck, right? You're thinking they have 4 trucks, but they only have 1 truck, right? So many things can, and that happens quite a lot. But with technology, with digitization, with the things that we can do nowadays, right? That should be a thing of the past, or we can start to mitigate that. Such as the blockchain app that was mentioned earlier can help eliminate the issue, right? Why don't we have an API, or first, before the API, a national register of trucks in the country, right? If we had one, we had reputable businesses that took data seriously, or Zana or Kamal didn't need to ask the customer or the supplier is, give me the registration details of that truck. One, they'll understand immediately who owns the truck, who the driver is, where it's registered. If anything goes wrong on any trip, we keep talking about visibility, right? They know who to hold straight away. The truck register is there. We know the owner, we know the driver, we know where it works, right? We know where it's planned to work. If 2, 3 different people give you the same registration details, you know that it's not possible for you to have 4 trucks. It's just one. It will help the insurance businesses to also mitigate against fraud or claims that are not genuine. The police can get to work. It is all about building the right institutions who can put these things in place for us to move ahead. I'm not digressed a bit from warehousing, but I just think it's not, the warehousing side is not just one topic to hold in isolation. It's all about looking at the supply chain as a whole. And these are just 2 examples within the supply chain to do that. The third bit is, what are the institutions doing? We've said it, there's more truck demand in Nigeria than supply. But if you go to any bank right now and say, I want to buy trucks, they'll literally tell you no, straight off. Then if you are fortunate to even get a listening ear, they will tell you to go and bring a ridiculous amount of money as a deposit to do it, which a lot of people do not have, right? Also, most top-tier banks or financial institutions will want to only help you, if they agree, to sponsor or to facilitate the purchase of the vehicles. They only want to do brand new vehicles. The cheapest brand new Chinese truck right now is probably about 32, 33 million naira right now, right? And they'll ask for 30%, right? So you're asking a small time farmer to go and bring 10 million naira as deposit towards the purchase of the truck. And that's just the truck head, not the whole thing. Right? So what are the policies? What this is not even a government thing now, right? Even the financial institutions in the private sector how are they helping the supply chain industry? Because we remember, everything needs to move. If the cost of fuel is expensive, if the transport is expensive, it all comes down to the customer. It's the customer who bears the brunt of the high cost, of the challenges within supply, of the late demand or the late supply, the delayed delivery of the goods. So it's not one thing to look at. It's kind of something
The holistic. Yes, I understand.
Right.
I understand that, and I think I share your point of view. So we'll move on to audience questions now. We've gotten a question, and I think that question will be better for Zana to answer because I think he spoke on it about it. So this is from Oluwashogo. He said, and I quote, "My question is on truck visibility. In cases where we have truck owners and drivers, for some reason best known to them, they refuse to accept tech and that gives visibility to the freight company and the client. How do we handle this? This has been a recurring issue with my dealings with some northern transporters." Zana, I think you mentioned something about that earlier. I think let you speak more on it.
Yes, I think one way we can address that, I give a simple example, right? In Kenya, there was a time when they were, just like we have Fulanis who rear cattle here, they also have the Maasai people who were rearing. So they were trying to bring innovations to be able to help them keep their cattle, feed them well, and grow. And then for them, it is a tradition, it's something they are used to. So it was practically impossible. So what the government did was to forget about them and then find some other people who were receptive to this kind of improved technology, improved breed, improved market. As soon as they began to see that, so these people were getting better market, better deals, they began to now adapt, gradually. So I think that the coming of startups like ADBM and any other ones who are coming into the logistics space should be able to penetrate, should be able to understand, try to gradually penetrate and get these people on board. Now, they will also need a lot of publicity, a lot of visibility across board, so that people will know that if I can get ADBM to be able to move my goods, I will be able to track him along the way. He will be able to give me adequate information. I will be able to follow up easily. Payment systems are seamless, unlike this one that you have to pay cash to somebody and you have stories here and there you are battling with. If they know that such kind of businesses exist, I'm telling you, more and more people will begin to patronize this. And so for this other class of people, they will have no option than to continue to also conform and then continue to adopt. So I feel that the easiest solution is to get more startups to come into the logistics business, put in structures, put in technology, bring in efficiency that will convince partners, clients who will begin to patronize them more and more. In such a way, those who are doing it the normal archaic way will have to find no option than to continue to also improve gradually. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Zana. I really believe in what you have said. I don't know, Kamal, I'm going to give the stage to you, but I also want to mention people in the audience, please feel free to type your questions in the chat. I will see them and direct them to the speakers. If you want to direct it specifically to one speaker, that's also fine. I'll be able to do that. So Kamal, I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this question?
Thank you, Folu. I think Sanao spoke very brilliantly about that, and at the same time, you provided a lot of solution. But one of those things that we've not been able to put in place is the fact that there's no API. Is there a readiness between the active players within the sector to come together and work on a database? Do you get? And yes. Just like I said earlier, that what effort is ADBM and other logistics provider putting in place to try and legitimize and probably legalize their relationship with other truck owners, apart from calling the allergies? I gave an example of what's it called? This cement company in Abeokuta. Whenever their trucks are going down the north, Why can't we, as a service provider like HBM, have a portal to show that you have, because you have negotiated with them, as soon as they are loading those trucks to the north, they will call you or probably put it on your portal to say, in the next 3 days, these trucks should be available at this point, and it will be ready. It will be ready to come back to the southwest, or it will be ready to go to the south-south. Do you get? So if there's a portal where everybody can see and check that, okay, there's truck availability, regardless of people using it at that time or not, and you said it will be available till this time tomorrow, you will see that there'll be a change in reaction and allocation of those trucks to people. And at the same time, a truck that you can get information about before it started loading your stock, you will definitely get an overview into how it moves. So you may not even need to call the driver. You may not need to call the driver. I know, okay, Shola is not on this call again, but there's a solution that Shola has been using for a lot of trucks. And there's a solution we use from our warehouses too. When we lock the trucks, we can track that lock on the truck. And I think there's one of these active players, Habloy Padlock. They have a padlock that can be tracked anywhere. When you padlock this truck after loading it, you can use that to track your stock wherever it is across the nation. And when it gets to location, you know. So all these things, readiness of the active players to come together and say, we want to take that risk of collaboration and then provide a solution to this problem within this sector will help every one of us.
Thank you very much, Kamal. I think another thing Ayo mentioned was the API thing, and I think it's actually a brilliant idea. If the Nigerian government and the shareholders in the sector can just come together, create a database where everybody has access to at all times, then half of these things you will not be worried about. Everybody will know where the truck is and everything, especially when it's carrying your own goods. So I want to give a minute for any more questions from the audience. I think the conversation has been so good that most people don't even have questions to ask. So I don't know. Is there any more question from the audience? Okay. So I think okay. Yes, we have just gotten a question. So the question is the issue of some truck using fake number plate registration to access loading points, and upon getting out of the gate, upon leaving the gates, then fix the other number plates unknown to you. Thereby, they can easily divert cargo. Apparently, most of the time, there are layers between the real owners and the commission men, who in most times hire trucks for you and might also have less ways to actually trace the truck. So, Ayo, what do you think about the question?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the bits I tried to touch on earlier. So that database, I think, is still one of the biggest improvements we can make within the logistics, especially trucking in Nigeria. Because if someone comes into, say, take, for example, you have your manufacturing facility, you've got this database of trucks, and this truck, a truck comes in, a red DAF comes into your garage or into your warehouse to load up, and all you need to do is affix or put in the details, the truck registration, and it says it's a green DAF. Immediately, even before you load up, or it's a MAN diesel truck or it's a Volvo truck, even before you load up, you already know that there's a problem with this truck, because that information, you will have it at the tip of your fingers. And the thing is, building the database, I don't believe is impossible. I think it's actually very, very possible to do. It will take a lot of work, but if it were easy, then everyone would have done it. So yes, so that alone will help businesses eliminate some part of this fraudulent activities between the truck owners and the middlemen. Also, any truck that comes into your yard to get loaded and you know your truck is already on a database, it also kind of strikes the fear into the owner of the truck to manage his driver properly, because the insurance companies already have their details, the police and the security agencies already have the details of the truck owner. So it bestows that responsibility on the truck owner and not the agent that's in between. I'll give you a story that happened to us a while ago, where naturally, of course, we tried to get a truck to load from us from Lagos going off to Kano. And this middleman has always done well. We never had issues. Until we had an issue with one truck. It was only after we had an issue with payment, because payment had been made to the middleman had paid the other middleman. We actually found out that there were 4 middlemen in the transaction. That is also so ridiculous. That also takes up the pricing of your transportation, right? How do you make profit, or how do you even deliver a good service when your costs are already so high, right? And if it's coming down south with food stuff and there are 3, 4, 5 layers of middlemen in adding their own cost into it, you can understand why things are so expensive, right? So that on its own will eliminate the middlemen. You can talk directly with having that database can ensure that businesses talk directly with who is ultimately responsible for the truck, the owner. I would say in that my very example, we got a job, we paid out 970,000 to the middleman. By the time the truck actually, the owner of the truck was getting paid, he was only getting paid 800,000. So 170,000 had gone on top of the cost. And not just that, why there was even an issue was they only paid him, I think, 720 or 750. So the man was livid, right? And that he wasn't paid his full amount of money. So he instructed the driver not to drop the goods. That was the only reason why we found out. So you can understand why it's important to have a database of one, who owns the truck, who gets it. We could have saved 170,000 going directly to the truck owner. Not just that, the truck owner would have got his money in full without any issues. So there's several challenges, and I think the lot of things we can do to get around this within the country.
Thank you very much, Ayo. The next question from Abdul Kadir, and I think this would be very pertinent to Zanao since he's the first stage of the whole process, is how can we get the pricing system right such that there is a uniform price across the board? Zanao, what do you have to say about this?
Okay, so pricing has been a very big issue. Kamal mentioned that when you look at, for example, across the north, moving goods from the northwest down south is often cheaper than moving from the northeast. And one of the things that has contributed to that is also the fact that there are different factors, but let me mention some few. One is the supply market. In this case, you discover that within the Northwest, you have a huge chunk of truck owners. Many people who own trucks, are within the Northeast. And so there's availability of trucks. And so there's a high level of competition. And so the prices within that region is lower. And so you don't have that kind of stiff competition you have within the Northeast. In the Northeast, especially from Taraba, Adamawa, if you are moving anything from Taraba, Adamawa to Lagos or to Ibadan, you spend close to ₦1 million. In fact, as at this moment, you spend about 1.1, 1.2, even to 1.3. to take your commodities down to Ibadan or to Lagos. And if you ask, they tell you that one is the fact that due to multiple charges that they experience on the way, moving across some of these states. And you don't also blame the state because of the level of insecurity that we've had over the years has created a lot of roadblocks, checkpoints here and there, and those also become a lot of stumbling block for truck owners and truck drivers. And so that increases charges. Secondly, it is the fact that the roads are bad from that axis. And so also the distance from northeast down to southwest is farther than the distance from the north west to southwest. So that also contributes. But I feel that there is an unfair pricing. And what I mean by unfair pricing is that you move a 30-ton truck within the northwest at around 300,000 down to Ibadan. You are paying about 800 to 900. Even between Taraba and Calabar, which is even a shorter distance, you pay between 700 to 900,000. And to me, that is an unfair pricing. To be able to get a fair price, if one government would be able to fix roads, if roads are good, and so that nobody will have an excuse to say that it is because of bad roads, and then secondly, fix the issue of insecurity so that roadblocks will not be issues that will also demand that truckers will charge higher. Because I know in some of these routes, they pay as high as 200,000 to even 300,000 just to finish on paying checkpoints along the way. So this also adds up to that. So if government on their own part will be able to fix that part, it will help. Another issue is that, even though it has been mentioned, is the issue of financing for trucks. It has been a big challenge. You will discover that banks somehow do not still understand the business cycle in trucking. You will also bear me witness that truck movements across the country is actually what moves our economy. It's what moves raw materials to the factories. It's what moves finished goods to the market. And so I don't see the reason why banks will not extend some favorable financing to those who are in the trucking business. Now, in the aviation sector, there's something that the federal government did. They were able to remove duty on imported aircraft. If duty can be reduced or removed completely from people who want to go into importing trucks, and then to reduce the cost of landing of trucks within the country, I think that will go a long way to also bring down the costs within the country, because cost of moving commodities is getting higher and higher, and there is no way it's coming down. Now, diesel recently has gone up to 700, 750, 720 in some locations. That also has contributed. We've had the aviation sector crying. The trucking cycle also have their own share. And so that, before now, you move a bag of maize or soybeans or rice to Kano from Taraba, you pay 700, you pay around 800 to 1,000. Now you pay 2,200 naira or 2,300 naira per bag. You will have seen that increase is unfair. It is just beyond imagination. So I think that there are a lot of factors that need to come into play to ensure that we have fair pricing and we have these prices come down so that it will make businesses much more flexible and much more efficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And since we are running out of time, in a way, I'll just direct the last question to Kamal. I think it's a very general question. So the question is, how best can a logistic manager track third-party trucks used in moving the company's goods? Should he be giving us access to the third-party tracker, or what is the best solution for this? Kamal, I want to ask what you think about this. Sorry, just give me a second. Kamal, okay, give me, yes.
So since it's a partnership, I don't think there's any sin in asking for access to your third parties partners or your partners outlook on a truck, so that you both can track it. Because as soon as the truck is missing, it's first is problem before it becomes yours. And let us ensure that there is always a standard agreement signed by both parties whenever we are having any deals. Because with this, we'll be able to play safe at both ends. Insurance is key, and it must be considered in whatever activities we are having across board. So having an insight into whatever your real owner of a truck is doing about your truck is fantastic, and it must be part of an agreement that you enter into whenever you are looking for a truck. Across the world, we all know that logistics has become a problem recently, and everybody is it has turned to survival of the fittest. When you know that the cost of truck from one location to this location is not more than 10 naira, but because there's paucity of trucks in that location, you just hike it into to 15,000 naira. And when you have done that like twice, all these people that you call for your truck, they will definitely come back to you and say 15 naira is the least they could do it at any time. So playing it fine, playing our role as diligent as possible will help mitigate against all these things. But on the issue of feasibility, it is your responsibility, and wherever you are going to get that feasibility from, you probably need to press that button and ensure that it is caught at the right time, so that the only thing that will return a sale is for you to be able to deliver against time and being able to deliver it correctly. If you are not, if at the beginning of a transaction you share an ETA to say in 3 days, you should have your stock delivered to Lagos from Kaduna, and at the end of the 3rd day, I'm not getting any information from you, and I'm not seeing the truck in Lagos. That is the first responsibility you have as an individual, to say, get back to your customer to let him or her know that your truck is in Ogere. And the reason why it is not in Lagos as against our plan was this. If you have this, it will help you. Another thing you can do is you create like a platform, a WhatsApp platform. WhatsApp has made life easier in a very long way now. You create a platform to say you put all your transporters in a group, maybe per states, and you have, whenever you have anything to do with moving any stock from that location, you just put it there. I have 20 trucks to be moved between Wednesday tomorrow or Thursday, because the time to look for trucks, Thursday on the 11th of or 12th of May, and all these trucks must leave latest by 15th of May. You get? So give me your quotation, give me your timeline. People will come with different quotations, and you go with one that is better, or probably you go with 2, 3, and be ready to take. As soon as you get your quotation, you take them off that group, engage them personally, and get those trucks immediately. And being able to get 1 or 2 people play active roles together. You get, just like the time that we all have Nitel as our only source of telecommunication. We could all recollect how we used to queue at Nitel offices to make calls that time. But now we all have what we can call, what we can use in our different homes. Until we get there on the logistics value chain, then we are still not there yet. So all these things are mini solutions that could be provided, and will go a long way in helping us out of this problem that we find ourselves.
Thank you very much. Sorry, one question just came in that is very, very quick. It says, Kamal, could you please recommend a viable company that can provide services of the padlock tracker?
Yeah, they didn't pay me for an advertisement, but I can share a contact. I think Abloy is the name of the padlock company.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kamal. So all the speakers, Ayo, Shola, who left earlier, Kamal, and Zana, I'm really grateful for being here. This conversation has been not only eye-opening, but inspiring. It shows that I have so much faith that the logistics sector is going to get bigger, stronger, and better, because there are so many people, there are so many great minds thinking about these issues. And it's amazing that we can get this platform to actually all talk about these issues, because a lot of the audience is going to, go home. And I think we also mentioned about everybody in the whole supply chain space having a part to play. If all of us can play a part, we'll definitely make Nigeria's supply chain a more efficient place, and thereby making things cheaper for the customer, for the end user, and just a better and more efficient economy overall. I want to thank all the audience for coming again. I really appreciate it. ABM appreciates it. God bless you all. You can follow us on social media if you want to see more of these conversations. We'll be having more in the coming future at everything is 8BM Freight, and on our website is www.8bmfreight.com. Thank you everybody for joining. For anybody who missed an earlier part, there would also be recordings that will be emailed to you. You'll be emailed links of the recording. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the day too.